And yes, I'm qualified to have that name. Before we begin, you should know that this review will contain no spoilers. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe for reviews and more. And please follow me on Instagram at Dr. Film Ronces for updates on my channel. And so, without further delay, let's begin our adventure. Sorry, I got a little carried away. Sorry.
The characters.
In this film, we once again follow Indiana Jones, played by Henry Ford. And he was an alcoholic, depressed person. Yes, I'm afraid to tell you that this character right here, has fallen into the garbage trope of a broken shell of a character. Don't get me wrong, it was fun to see Henry Ford again as Indiana Jones. It was fun to see him punch someone. It was fun to see him in car chases. And it was fun to see him use his old classic whip.
Get back!
But other than that, he comes off as pretty outdated. It's like this character was forced out of retirement to be in this movie because Disney said so. Heck, half the time, he doesn't even look pleased to be in this movie. But you have to give credit to Harrison Ford, for he has done a lot of preparations to get back into this role, especially doing 40-mile bike rides and daily walks. So you have to give credit where credit is due. As for Helena Shaw, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she's basically a copycat of Indiana Jones. Now, I don't mean to accuse the actress of anything really. I think she's a terrific actress, but the way they wrote her character in this movie, it's so freaking obvious that they're setting her up to be the replacement of Indiana Jones. I mean, for crying out loud. She has a sidekick that happens to be a kid. And gee, didn't Indiana Jones had a sidekick before?
Short round, step on it!
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones, hold on to your potatoes!
Really, guys? Really? As for our main antagonists, they're just Nazis. They're Nazis and you hate them. Do I really need to say anything more than that?
Action and visual effects.
The action in this film was entertaining, exhilarating, and not that intense at all. You can literally tell right away that all this was done through CGI. And because of that, the stakes for our characters become really low. Like, you wouldn't believe that our characters are going to die in this movie, especially Indiana Jones. And speaking of CGI, I have to give the filmmakers credit for making Harrison Ford young again. There were some shots of him that were pretty impressive. Although, it is still obvious that the CGI rendering on his face still looks pretty fake. But if I have to be honest, it still looks pretty impressive in comparison to this.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my god!
Let's move on.
The story.
Where do I start? The pacing in this film was completely off. There are some parts in the movie where you can get pretty bored, especially in some scenes where the characters are just talking. And worst of all, the story negates the ending of Indiana Jones' Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Without telling you any spoilers, all I can say is that this film's story completely ruins the ending of the fourth film, for honestly no good reason. Basically, this film's story is the equivalent of The Force Awakens, or The Last Jedi if you want to push it. Overall, my friends, was this sequel really necessary? Let's be honest here, the only reason that this sequel exists is for nostalgia and money, nothing else. Now don't get me wrong, there were some enjoyable moments in the movie, but that isn't enough to make up for the movie's incoherent storyline, not so good development of the characters, and not so great action sequences. If anything, this movie makes me appreciate the previous Indiana Jones movies. Heck, just by thinking about this movie alone makes me want to go watch the other movies right now, because those movies were worth my time. But for this movie, not so much. With all that said, I give Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny a 6.5 out of 10. Well guys, that's the end of my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, and please follow me on TikTok at DocRonces for funny videos, trailer reactions, you name it. And as always, I will see you guys at our next appointment.